What's good, everybody? It's the Clouded with Cab show. The NFL playoffs are finally here. They're set. I cannot wait. Let me give a shout out to the best team in NFL, the Detroit Lions. They beat the Minnesota Vikings last night. They ran right through them. I think Detroit and head coach Dan Campbell, Campbell, he likes to go for it on fourth down. I love it, though. I mean, the Detroit Lions, they play to win the game, and you got to give respect when it's due. And Dan Campbell, he just goes for the win every time, man, and I got to give that respect. Even though last year in the playoffs against the 49ers, he went for it a couple times where he didn't necessarily have to. He could have settled for a field goal and that sort of thing. But this year, the Detroit Lions is a different team. We had Jahmyr Gibbs score 4 touchdowns last night, just snapped off, went crazy. I think they're the favorite right now, and it makes sense. They're locked in. Their defense is a little bit healthy, even though they're kind of banged up right now. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they get a first-round bye. So shout out to the Detroit Lions. But this weekend, man, let me start with the LA Chargers versus the Houston Texans. The Texans, you know, they're kind of on and off. I mean, they're just kind of inconsistent to me, even though C.J. Stroud's had a decent season this year, over 3,700 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, and 12 picks. But I'm looking at the Chargers and saying, well, they've had a better season overall. They really have. J.K. Dobbins is back. He's got 9 touchdowns. He was a little banged up. I think he missed about a month or two. He's healthy and back. Man, give me the Chargers right now. And I understand it's in Houston. The Texans just, to me, are just very inconsistent team. They really are. Some days they come perform, other days they don't. And sometimes I'm looking at C.J. Stroud and saying, man, like, what am I seeing from C.J. Stroud? Like, some games I'm just like, bro, like, it's just terrible to watch. And then other games I'm like, man, C.J. Stroud's locked in. He looks really good. Him and Nico Collins are great. But I just think overall, yes, Nico Collins is a great receiver, top 5 receiver in the NFL. But right now I'm leaning more towards the Chargers. They're -3 right now. Give me the favorite right now. I just think they're the better team, and they're the better coach team overall. So give me the LA Chargers right now in a very close one in this wild card matchup. I mean, it's going to be very interesting. But when we look at these matchups in the playoffs, we look at the wild card and we're like, well, sometimes the wild card team does run it all the way to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. You know, we go all the way back to like 2005 when the Pittsburgh Steelers was a wild card team and they ended up winning the Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. And they beat my Indianapolis Colts, went into Indy. And it was just a terrible event. We had our kicker miss the potential tying field goal to make it to go to overtime. We had Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison. We had a stacked team that year. But the Pittsburgh Steelers was a wild card team. So what I'm saying is some of these wild card teams, they're just on fire. And when you're playing lights out, you know, at this time of the year, come playoff season, when it's cold out, you know, hey, you could run it all the way. But right now, let me go Chargers over the Houston Texans. That just makes more sense to me right now. 43.5 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over. I love the over, and I understand playoff football is a little bit more tight, harder hits, you know, just everything, the whole 9 yards. But give me the Chargers. Give me Herbert. Herbert's locked in, man. Give me Harbaugh. I just think overall the Chargers, man, they understand what's at stake right now. They really do. And they had a heartbreak loss a couple years ago against the Jacksonville Jaguars when they're up, I think, over 20 points going into the second half. They end up blowing that lead and losing that wild card game. They remember that. They remember the ups and downs. So give me the Chargers in Houston. This is going to be a close battle, but give me the LA Chargers over the Houston Texans in this first game of the wild card. I cannot wait. Let's go. And then we got the classic rivalry, the Pittsburgh Steelers going into the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 9.5-point favorites here. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I would not take the 9.5-point spread. I just would not. Now, give me, you know, you could alternate down to like 4.5. I would take the Ravens, but overall, 100%, I'm going to Baltimore Ravens. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers who have really a trash offense who just does not perform, and we saw that last week, right? We saw that with George Pickens. He had like 4 or 5 drops, just really bad overall. Just the whole system of the Pittsburgh Steelers, how they run their offense. And I'm not just blaming Mike Tomlin, but it's just part of it, dude. Like, you guys' offense is just mediocre at best. And you're not going to win a big playoff game, especially going into Baltimore against Lamar Jackson. We're talking about Lamar's going to probably win another MVP. He won it last year. Going to go back-to-back MVPs Shout out to Lamar Jackson this year. 41 touchdowns, only 4 picks, dude. 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. That is crazy, dude. Lamar Jackson is really that dude. He is just insanely, if he doesn't get the MVP, I'm kind of concerned. Like, what's the NFL looking like? Like, seriously, dude. Like, dude, what are they watching? Because what I've seen from Lamar is just, it's been iconic, man. It's been awesome. It really has. And he has Derrick Henry with him. King Henry, he has 16 touchdowns this year, almost 2,000 yards rushing. Over 1,900 yards rushing. Shout out to Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers, I think he's going to be out with a knee injury, which is devastating for the Baltimore Ravens as they move forward into the playoffs. We're looking at the Ravens and saying it's Super Bowl or bust for you guys. And Harbaugh, he understands that. They're locked in right now. They got a great defense. Kyle Hamilton at safety. They have some dogs there. And I just think overall, man, I'm leaning way towards the Baltimore Ravens in this matchup. We're talking, like I said, the Pittsburgh Steelers, yes, they have a great defense. TJ Watt off the defensive line. They got some dogs as well, but offensively, the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're talking about a team that's probably going to put up not even 14 points this game. They might put up 10 points. Even if they do put up 14, it's not going to be enough. We're talking about Lamar Jackson. They're going to come down, and they're going to score touchdowns. That's what they're going to do, and they're going to run the ball with Derrick Henry. This is playoff football. It's in Baltimore. It's going to be cold. I'm telling you, this is the wild card time, and I'm telling you, I'm going all in on the Baltimore Ravens right here in this matchup. 100%. Put your whole network on the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is just smart in general, and Lamar knows what's at stake. He understands that, hey, I got to get over the hump. I have to essentially beat the Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to make it to the Super Bowl, and they did not do that last year. So I think that he understands all the noise, the postseason woes for Lamar, not performing great, just not being the MO of what they do during the regular season. So I think right now they're going to flip the script. I think Lamar's going to throw for 2+ touchdowns this game. He might even have a rushing touchdown as well. And bet Derrick Henry anytime touchdown this game against the Steelers. I think this is going to be a grimy game. I think it's going to be relatively close in the first half. But I think the second half, they're just going to break it open. And Baltimore Ravens should, it makes sense why it's 9.5. They should win by 10+ points. Now, do I like you to bet that? No. This is playoff football. One mistake's going to change the whole dynamic of the game. But give me the Ravens right now. Give me Ravens money line. Give me Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. Give me Lamar 2+ touchdowns. And you can even bet on the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. But, after watching Pittsburgh this past weekend, dude, their offense is just terrible. And I'm not just trying to throw Russell Wilson under the bus, even though Russell Wilson has had a decent season this year, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks. But it's just kind of mediocre. It's not the Russell Wilson that we're used to seeing back in Seattle. It's just not. It's just kind of mediocre, just going through the motions and just doing the right things. But I just think Mike Tomlin's going to have to come up with a solution in this game and say, we play them all the time. We play them twice a year, every single year. They're our rivals. We know this. I just think overall, man, what Lamar Jackson's done this year, he's locked in, man. Give me the Baltimore Ravens. This is the most confident pick of all weekend of the wild card weekend. This is the game that I'm most confident is the Baltimore Ravens here. You're playing at home. You got MVP Lamar Jackson once again, who's had a crazy season this year, just went insane, just balled out, just like Lamar always does. And they're finally giving him some help with Derrick Henry this offseason. So they built this team up. They built the Ravens up to a Super Bowl level team to say, hey, we're going to make a deep run this year. We're going to go all the way. We're going to win it. We're going to win it all. That's what the mindset is in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. So give me the Ravens over the Pittsburgh Steelers all day in this matchup. And then we got the NFC wildcard playoffs, the Washington Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be another epic game. This is a coin flip type of game. Tampa Bay's 3.5-point favorites. It makes sense. It's in Tampa. It's going to be warm. But we look at the Washington Commanders this year and say, wow, Jaden Daniels, the rookie, coming in, balling out, over 3,500 yards passing, 25 touchdowns and 9 picks this year. He also has 6 rushing touchdowns. So Jaden Daniels, the rookie, really could have went number 1 overall. I mean, he's really changed the whole dynamic of the Washington Commanders, the whole fan base there. They just really came alive. Nobody believed Washington Commanders would be in the playoffs this year. If we were to go all the way back to week 1 and say Washington Commanders will make the playoffs this year, most people, 75% of people would say no. The Washington Commanders are not going to make the playoffs this year whatsoever, but they have because of Jane Daniels, because of guys like Terry McLaurin, who has 13 touchdowns this year, caught the game-winning touchdown this past weekend. I'm telling you what, right now, Washington Commanders are one of the hottest teams going into this playoffs. And it's like, man, we look at Tampa Bay. They barely beat the New Orleans Saints the last game of the weekend in Week 18. And it's just like, well, if they play like that, yes, you Washington Commanders are going to win this game. But this game is definitely a coin flip type of game. But what I've seen from Baker Mayfield this year, just his will to never give up, dude. Baker Mayfield has gone crazy. 41 touchdowns. He does have 16 interceptions. Sometimes Baker, his old Baker, throwing in double coverage. But he's got one of the best receivers of our generation, Mike Evans, who passed 1,000 yards yet again for 11 straight years, ties Jerry Rice's record. That's amazing, man. I'm telling you what, Mike Evans, a 100% future Hall of Famer, been in the league 11 years, had over receiving yards every single year, 1,000 every single year, ties Jerry Rice for 11 consecutive seasons. That is crazy. So shout out to Mike Evans, man. I'm telling you what, I think the duo right here, Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield, are probably the difference makers in this game. I think this game is going to be a high-scoring game. Absolutely. I think the over is going to hit. Yeah, I would bet on the over. Even though the over is high for a playoff game, 50.5, I like the over here. I think both teams can score big points. Jane Daniels, he loves to throw to his tight ends just like Baker does. You know, loves to throw to his main guys, Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans. These two guys love to get the ball, and they get the targets a lot. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But right now I'm leaning more towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I really am. What I've seen from Tampa all year, they find ways to win. And I'm not taking any away from the Washington Commanders what Jane Daniels has done. He's a rookie, and he's going to really feel the difference of playoff football from just regular season football. There's a huge difference. It's a huge gap. Just how the whole game's played, the whole speed. It's a faster pace, harder hits. You know, everything's more pressured. You know, every possession matters in the playoffs. So one turnover, that could cost you the game. Just one little simple turnover, one little simple interception or fumble, or just, oh, you missed this guy in the end zone. Now you got to settle for a field goal. That could cost you the game here in the playoffs. So I think Washington Commanders could easily win this game, absolutely. But I'm leaning more towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's in Tampa. Now, if this was in Washington, I would go Washington. But the home field advantage is huge in the playoffs. They're playing in Tampa. It's going to be warm. So, number one, it's going to be great for Tampa Bay and Mike Evans and Baker. So, give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll take the -3.5 right now. It's going to be very close. I understand that. And give me the over in this game. Give me the over. This is the night game. It's going to be locked in. It's going to be awesome. However, if it's going to be raining, go with the under. Absolutely. Because it's in Tampa. It rains there. But overall, I'm going Tampa Bay right now. They're the home team. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans have been locked in all year, and that defense has stepped up. And I would lean the better defense. The Tampa Bay's a little bit better defense than the Washington Commanders. So give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Washington Commanders in this matchup. Let's go, Baker! And then we got the Denver Broncos versus the Buffalo Bills. It's in Buffalo. Bills are 9-point favorites. And I'm telling you right now, do not be a sucker. Do not bet Bills at 9. That's way too high for this playoff type of game. The Denver Broncos have a great defense. I think 9 is way too much. Even though it could hit, give me money line Buffalo Bills. Give me Josh Allen in Buffalo. 47.5 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the under here. Both teams have solid defenses. This is playoff football. It's in Buffalo. It's cold out there. But Josh Allen this year. Let's talk about Josh Allen, dude. He has 28 touchdowns this year, only 6 picks. That's the difference. That's the difference right now. It's why Buffalo's where they're at. It's why they're the number 2 seed. It's why Josh Allen's in the MVP race right now. Even though he won't win it, I think Lamar will get it. I just think with Josh Allen, only 6 interceptions. We look at Josh Allen and say, only 6? That's really great. And really his Achilles heel has always been the interceptions. We look at Allen, man. We look through the seasons, man. He's had a lot of interceptions. His first year in the league in 2018, he had 12 picks, okay? And then in 2020, he had 10 picks. 2021, he had 15 interceptions. And just last year in 2023, he had 18 interceptions. And then this season, 2024 season, 2025, he only had 6. So I'm looking at Josh Allen and saying he's improved in his throwing ability, and that's the difference right now for Buffalo. Yes, they're kind of the same team. He doesn't have the best offensive weapons. Yes, he's got James Cook. He's got Shakir and those guys, and James Cook has 16 touchdowns this year. Shout out to James Cook, over 1,000 yards rushing. But we look at freaking Josh Allen, dude. He takes over games. He's going to find a way to win. Give me the Buffalo Bills. Even though Denver, the well-coached team in Sean Payton, he's a Super Bowl winning coach. Bo Nix this year, the rookie, even though he's an old rookie, he had 29 touchdowns this year, 12 interceptions, which is crazy. And then Cortland Sutton has 8 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving for the Denver Broncos. So Denver's going to come in here. They're going to play great. They really are. They have a great defense. But I think Josh Allen right now is the difference in this game. I think if Josh Allen plays great, if he plays like he's been playing in the regular season, no interceptions, not throwing into double coverage, give me the Buffalo Bills. I just think the 9 points is way too high. That is a high spread. Essentially, they got to win by 10 plus points, bro. Like, that's a high, too high for a playoff type of game. I understand it's in Buffalo. Buffalo's the number 2 seed. But overall, man, give me the Buffalo Bills. But I'll go money line here. I go money line, and I like Josh Allen 2+ touchdowns. You could even bet Josh Allen anytime touchdown as well. I think, yes, they're going to put up some points, but I just think Denver does have a great defense. Even though some games Denver's defense looks suspect, but overall, pound for pound, Denver has a top 5 defense in the NFL. They really do, and that props to Sean Payton. Changing that culture there in Denver right now, but give me the Buffalo Bills, man. I think Josh Allen is the difference maker, and I think Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills understand what's at stake. They got to win these type of games. They have to get over the hump. They have to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are the team to beat. They're looking for a three-peat. No team in NFL history has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, but Kansas City Chiefs can do it this year. And Patrick Mahomes, man, he's locked in. And you don't think Josh Allen knows this? Josh Allen knows that I have to beat them. I was literally 15 seconds away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years ago. They marched down the field in 15 seconds, kick, and win the game. Like, dude, Josh Allen knows this. Josh Allen knows what's at stake, man. I think Josh Allen's going to get locked in, and I love the Buffalo Bills. Bet on the Buffalo Bills. I would bet money line. I think 9 is way too much for this type of game, but give me the Buffalo Bills in this matchup. Take off Josh Allen. Let's go! And then we got the Green Bay Packers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 5.5-point favorites here. They rested Saquon, so Saquon couldn't break Eric Dickerson's all-time rushing record in one season, which is pretty crazy to me. If I'm the coach, I understand injuries and all that, but I'm giving Saquon the bone, man. I'm telling, go Saquon, beat this record. You only need 101 yards rushing. You could get that in the first half. We sit you in the second half of this game of Week 18, but that's not how it went. But overall, man, I don't blame the coaches whatsoever, but the Philadelphia Eagles, they're locked in as well. Jalen Hurts this year, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks, and there's been some up and down games for Jalen Hurts this year. If Jalen Hurts plays like, not throwing the ball enough or throwing interceptions, Philadelphia Eagles could lose in any type of playoff game. Absolutely. However, if Jalen Hurts is playing smart, throwing down checkdowns, throwing to A.J. Brown, your number 1 target, okay, and then obviously Saquon doing what Saquon does all year is just rush for over 100 yards. That's what Saquon's going to do, maybe score a couple touchdowns. So obviously I'm going Philadelphia Eagles. What I've seen from Green Bay, they lost to Chicago Week 18. I just think overall Green Bay, Jordan Love is banged up. He's actually questionable right now with an elbow injury, and he lost feeling in his throwing right arm. So that's not good, and I think he might even be out of this game. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles. Even if Jordan Love is available, I'm still going Philadelphia Eagles. It's in Philly. Philly has one of the best defenses in the NFL. They drafted a lot of dogs, a lot of rookies this year. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Saquon Barkley's going to score. I think Saquon Barkley's going to do what he always does, and that's eat. That's what he's going to do. He's going to rush over you. He can run over you. He can break you off. He can take off for an 80-yard touchdown. That's what Saquon Barkley does. That's why Saquon Barkley is the best running back in the NFL right now. He's number 1, and Derrick Henry's number 2. So I think Philadelphia Eagles, man, they're another team that could really well win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, they have to beat the Detroit Lions, but I think overall, man, Philadelphia Eagles are the biggest threat to the Detroit Lions right now. We're talking about Saquon Barkley, like I said, dude, a dynamic player. a player that could really change the whole game. If you're going to put a linebacker on Saquon Barkley, okay, we're going to take that mismatch every single time. We're going to throw the ball to Saquon. We're going to do wheel routes to Saquon. We're going to just change it up. But in Philadelphia, man, give me the Philadelphia Eagles over the Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry, Green Bay. The run is over. There were some people a month ago saying Green Bay can run it all the way. No, Green Bay never had a shot of winning the Super Bowl this year. They just didn't. I think Jordan Love still has a couple years to develop to become a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So I think overall, man, give me the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I'll take the 5.5. I think Eagles cover that. 45.5 is the over-under. Probably lean more towards the over right now. And I understand it's playoff football. It's a little bit low scoring, but I think Philadelphia scores 28-plus points this game. That's my whole thing. I think he does score 20 something like that, but it looks like it could hit the under. But right now, let me go with the over. Let me go Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles at home against the Green Bay Packers in this matchup. I cannot wait. And then we have the most intriguing matchup all weekend on Monday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings go into the LA Rams. This is definitely going to be a crazy type of game. Minnesota's favorite, actually. They're favored by 2.5 points. 47.5 is the over-under. You would think the over is going to hit, right? Two high-powered offenses. You got Justin Jefferson on one side. You got Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, these type of guys. I mean, right now I'm leaning more towards Minnesota. Even though Minnesota got ran through by the Detroit Lions last night, right now, Sam Darnold, I'm liking what I see from Sam Darnold this year. 35 touchdowns, only 12 picks. Justin Jefferson's been eating all year, 10 touchdowns, over 1,500 yards receiving. I just think right now the LA Rams, Sean McVay, they've had some time to think. It's on Monday Night Football. They're playing at home. Even though the Minnesota Vikings have won 14 games this year, they're the away team. It's crazy how it worked, dude, but the Rams only won 10 games, but they're hosting a home game. I think that's a huge advantage to the LA Rams. But right now I'm still leaning more towards Minnesota. I might change my pick, but I think Minnesota overall is the better team than the LA Rams. That's why I'm essentially going LA Rams, man. Going Minnesota Vikings, because the Minnesota Vikings have a better defense than the LA Rams. They just overall, they're just a better team. So that's why I'm leaning more towards the Minnesota Vikings. However, can the LA Rams win this game? Absolutely. They're playing at home. They have Matthew Stafford, who's healthy. They have Kyren Williams, who's had 14 rushing touchdowns this year. Been going crazy. Shout out to Kyren Williams, one of the best running backs in the NFL. And like I said, Puka Nacua. I mean, Puka's been balling all year. They have Cooper Kupp. They have the tools to win this game. So actually, I do think this game is a coin flip type of game. But right now, give me the Minnesota Vikings, man. Give me the Vikings right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they do lose the Minnesota Vikings, just how their season's ended right now, just the events that have taken place. But we look at the LA Rams and realize, man, they're playing their best football right now. The second half of the season, the LA Rams are playing their best football. And I think if Matt Stafford is locked in right now with Puka Nacua, with Cooper Kupp and guys like that, Kyren Williams, I do think they can win this game. And it makes sense. Some teams, some bettors are going to bet on the LA Rams because it's in LA right now. So, that's an advantage. But right now, give me the 2.5 Minnesota going into LA. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Minnesota's going to turn it around. And really, the dynamic of Justin Jefferson is going to be the difference. And Jordan Addison with the have on Minnesota. I think that's the difference. So, give me the Minnesota Vikings over the LA Rams in a close matchup. But what a weekend for the wild card. The playoffs are finally here. Like I said, the playoff football is way different than regular season. Every possession matters. Field goals, if you're going to settle for field goals, that could cost you in the game. It costs you your whole season. Everything you work for. All this time, 18, 19 weeks, 20 weeks in right now, even longer, the preseason, you have the training camp. All this stuff boils down to one game in this wild card game. So it's going to be really interesting, but give me the Chargers, man. But overall, the most confident game in is definitely the Baltimore Ravens over the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills over the Denver Broncos. I think Buffalo and Baltimore Ravens, in the AFC, I think they're locked in. They'll eventually probably play each other down the line. Or one of them's going to have to play Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. That's just what's going to happen. It's inevitable. You cannot avoid Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They're looking to three-peat, the only team to ever do it if they succeed it. So, I cannot wait. But the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson's going to win another MVP, man. I cannot wait. The playoffs are here. It's the Clownwood Cavs show. Let's go!